The league, as you probably know, is pushing hard for a 17th game in the regular season. That would reduce the preseason to 3. That would not take place until the 2021 season at soonest. The other major change would be the player revenue share increasing. It would just put more money into the players' side of things. And while it would only be a half a percentage point here or there, it could add up to an extra $5 billion towards the players. So I want to keep this in sort of the world where I think the fans are interested. Let's talk about 17 games and just where the conversations are right now. Dan Graziano.
The owners are meeting today. All 32 NFL owners scheduled to be at a meeting here, about a mile from here at the Conrad Hotel in downtown New York. They could vote on the proposal that's on the table. The proposal has been in front of the players for the last couple of weeks. Been some minor modifications as the sides have talked back and forth, but it's a proposal the owners like. The players are scheduled to have a conference call tomorrow with all 32 of their team representatives. And if they vote on that, the owners need to have a 3/4 of their body approve it. The players need 2/3 of their player reps to approve it for it to move forward. And that's where we get the report that the CBA could be agreed to within the next week or so, if all goes well. It would include a 17-game season option for the owners between 2021 and 2023. That would start, and of course the expanded playoffs that Adam referred to.
So that's going to be the enormous change. To change the number of games, I keep saying this, we say it somewhat cavalierly. To change the number of games that a team plays in a sport it only happens like once every half century. So this would be a substantial change to professional football as we know it. As a longtime former player, Marcus, do you like 17 games?
No, I don't. And look, my mind will never change. I think 16 games is a lot already. And then you talk about teams possibly going to the playoffs, right, especially ones without the bye. Look, one extra game, and I know in general people say, well, it's one extra game. It's 3 more hours on a Sunday. Not after you've taken 900 hits throughout the course of an entire season. That is the focus of the players, and obviously you talk about player safety. But and then also, G, there are some parameters. I remember us sitting in the meeting. I said, G, well, if they give us 17 games, then they need to take some practices away, or they need to take some training camp away. Right. You was like, you are crazy. Yeah. Like, this is a game. And to that point, as I've come around, the physicality of a game is about 2 games, right, to be honest with you. So to add another one, man, it's just, I don't know if I can come around on it.
I agree with you. I haven't played, since 2003. But, you look at the intensity of a game. You don't want to add another game, especially when you're considering the health and risk factors of players. People are talking about concussions. You're talking about CTE. The last thing you want to do is put these players in another situation where they're playing another game. Not practice, not scrimmage, not preseason, but an actual game that counts.
There are a lot of things to this also, Dan, that I think have to be taken into consideration. Player safety is, of course, overwhelmingly the most important, and that's what the players are going to focus on, and rightfully so. It's not the only consideration to be here. First off, if you're going to make an odd number of games in a season, it feels to me like you're setting it up for each team to play one international game every year. I know that hasn't been worked out entirely yet. That makes some sense to me. But adding one more does not necessarily, more is not always better, and I would be concerned. I think there's something about how concise an NFL season is that is a part of its charm and allure.
There is, but what people have to understand is the 17th game and the added playoff games, this is all about the league trying to increase inventory. It's after this deal is done, they're going to turn around and negotiate with their TV network partners, with CBS, with Fox, with us, and they're going to say, hey, we have more games to offer, so you should give us more money, and that's what this is all about. You're right, they haven't even talked about how a 17-game season would work yet. They just want to know that they can offer it.
Exactly. They want to know they have the option to do it if they choose to do it, because they need the players to be partners with them in doing that. Do you like the idea of adding another playoff game, another playoff team in each conference?
I like the idea of that, because you think about the time of the year, and what was the first question I asked? Is it another game on top of that? But no, with the bye week, you'll see teams incentivized, especially to get that number 1 seed, instead of having the opportunity to sit players down and try to figure out, who can we rest up until this point. It's only one of those spots, and it is a clear advantage to be number 1 and not the second place team to play the 7th ranked team that you have going out of your conference.
To be clear, this is what the first round of the playoffs would have looked like this past season had this new policy been in place, this new plan. The Rams would have made it in the NFC, and the Steelers would have made it in the AFC.
Guys, the most exciting time of the year, NFL playoff time. There's nothing like it. You're going to tell me that they're going to add another team and not another game. I think that's brilliant. I mean, why do you think college fought to have a playoff so hard? Because college football, playoff football is amazing. It's going to be more intriguing. And like you said, Swagoo, now these games, especially later in the season, they're going to be even more important.
What's interesting to me is this expanded playoffs is one issue where throughout this whole CBA thing, owners and players have seemed to find some agreement.
Yeah.
Like when owners first came with the idea of 18-game season, the pushback was, no, that's way too much. Why don't we just expand the playoffs? Players won't mind playing another playoff game because that's like a reward, right? That you want to play.
There is also
game.
extra money in that for what it's worth.
They
get paid for the extra game.
I like the fact that the bye week, the team with the bye gets paid. That's huge.
That's one thing they would add.
You talk about incentive.
The players it's stuck in their craw, and understandably so, that if they earned a bye during the regular season, they didn't get paid the extra check for the game they didn't play in the playoffs.
That's big.
My only concern with this would be, anyone who knows me and listened to me for years knows the sanctity of the regular season is very important. I don't want a bunch of 8-8 teams in the playoffs. I don't think that's making it better. I don't want to see that, because the next step from here is, well, why would only one team get a bye? Now let's put 8 teams in from each conference, and now you're basically putting half your sport into the playoffs. That, to me, is a concern.
That is a concern. The NBA has that with sub-500 teams in the playoffs,
Yes.
right? And people still watch that, so that's the point in opposition to that. But
Right.
neither one of those teams, Rams or Steelers, was 8-8, right? They were both 9-7.
Correct.
So it would happen sometimes, but it wouldn't be automatic.
All right, so those are some of the machinations with the CBA.
Man,
and
I
again,
feel like I'm tired.
Dude, we're just getting started.
if you think you're tired now.
We're so glad you're watching ESPN on YouTube.
For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app.
And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus. We'll see you there.